Should we stop that?
That's fine.
No, yeah.
Well, just press the button. We should probably bring that in, right?
There's no time.
Do you know how many people I have to get authorization from to push the button and pull them back in? It's fine. We'll let it go.
Lunch is in like 15.
Yeah.
Lunch?
I mean, the budget, we're already exceeding the budget like crazy. I don't want to make any waves.
Do we make money here?
I think I'm just going to push the button.
You push the button. I just work here.
If you want HR on your ass, you gotta push the button. Push the button.
Do it. They don't actually push the button.
That was also the wrong button. You pushed the wrong imaginary button.
I screwed up, guys.
Yeah.
I screwed up hard.
Yeah, you screwed up. You sure did. More
kind of like
than one.
my opinions on Empire Strikes Back.
Oh my goodness. You're not serious, are you?
We need a second for the title card to come in. Shh.
The title card. There's a title. Oh, yeah.
You know, I noticed after editing the first 2 podcasts, and I've kind of known this before, but my glasses actually sit crooked on my face most of the time. And it's like, and there's not much I can do about it. I can't figure out like why it's doing that, but they're like just slightly crooked all the time.
You have uneven ears.
I've noticed I also shouldn't have worn all black because I'm blending in with the rest of the car. I'm like a floating head.
Let's do this. Like a Wookiee sound.
It's not the first time we've gotten Kyle to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Are you serious?
I brought my phone out this time.
Okay, are you serious?
Okay. So we just watched within the last couple of days
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
Second movie of Star Wars.
Episode 5.
So I want to start everything. I want to preface everything with how I watched the movie first.
On a phone.
I watched it on a phone, laying in bed.
Where you fell asleep. You told me that already. You fell asleep while watching it.
Are you serious?
Okay, I fell asleep for 5 minutes because I was like, my eyes were closing, and I can't remember what part it was at. I think it was when Luke was leaving. I want to get the name right. Dagobah.
Yep.
Dagobah.
Yeah.
Dagobah.
I'm pretty much an expert now, so it just takes me a minute.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was leaving there, going to the.
That throws out one of my questions I had for you.
No, but then here's the thing. I fell asleep, but I'm like, I definitely want to rewind, and so I did watch all of it. I fell asleep. I mean, it was like an hour and a half in, probably an hour in, whatever. I was already tired from the day, so I'm not blaming the movie for falling asleep. I will say that. That was my fault. But the movie, I actually did enjoy. I did like the movie. I've been pulling Kyle's leg for a couple of days now.
Stop doing that. You always do that.
Well, shouldn't you?
You did that with the first movie, too.
Shouldn't you try to... shouldn't you catch on after a while, I guess?
Well, I want to come to the thing prepared. I was prepared to, like... Don't take that out of context. We're not like
There's a gifable moment.
Yeah, I'm going to be a GIF. I've always wanted that.
I'm just going to beep that one, too.
Okay.
I'm pretty prepared. I'm going to... yeah, so
okay, cool.
I did enjoy it. I'm going to wait until I'm another few movies in before I can, like... I need some more time to process it, and I definitely want to watch all the movies again after we've watched the series.
But once we watch Return of the Jedi, you'll have a good idea of what you think about this trilogy, though.
Yes.
So...
Yeah.
All right, so we can proceed without Chad and I beating the crap out of you. That's good. We can save that for the prequels.
So I am still looking forward to the prequels.
Yeah.
Before we go into the movie, though, I just remembered that I need to read my prediction of what Empire Strikes Back was going to be.
Okay.
And as a reminder, this was what I wrote down well before I watched anything. So I haven't read this in like a month, so I have to find it though. Sorry.
Do we have to stall for time, or are we just going to cut this?
Wow.
So
Yeah, why don't you keep everything in your
Cultured movie theories? Okay. All right. Episode. I just gotta load. Okay. Empire Strikes Back. I feel like this should be one of the title credits, like where it's like scrolling text, where I'm reading this as like the preface to the movie.
Like the crawl.
So, due to Vader killing Luke in the first movie.
Wow, that was really. Oh right, I forgot. You had like all 3 movies combined into one super movie.
I predicted Luke losing an arm or losing a hand or dying every movie for the trilogy. Or
You thought he was going to die because you saw him as a Christ figure because I said that, even though I didn't.
Due to Vader killing Luke in the first movie, the Empire, brackets Luke's friends and country, nation, homeland or spaceship,
Planet.
something.
Say planet.
Spaceship, something. Decides to plan an all-out assault. So I thought the Empire meant they were the good guys.
And they were striking back.
They were striking back from the first.
You thought the rebels were the Empire, even though there was an Empire in the.
I mean, you got the concept of it kind of right. It's just you
flip them around. It's not that unreasonable to think the rebels are the bad guys and the Empire's the good guys. It's not unreasonable.
Yes, it is.
Well,
the
in the context
Empire
of
is
Star
always
Wars,
the bad guy. Empire in any fiction, the Empire is always the bad guy.
I need to look that up to see if it's true.
You should.
It's mostly true.
Okay, so R2-D2 is introduced and is the resurrected Luke's assistant. Yes, Luke will be resurrected or was shown to survive the fall down the hole. So, yeah. Luke also falls in love with Leia, but it turns out to be his sister or mother. There is a massive war at the end, including battle droids that are shown for the first time. The war looks like it ends, but sets up the movie before it finishes. Sets up the next movie. It is my prediction by random chance that this will be my favorite movie.
Hold on. Hold on. Don't close that. I need to read what you wrote there. The war looks like it ends, but it sets up the next movie before it. Okay, never mind.
That's actually true. The movie does set up the next movie before
Well, that's not a hard prediction.
But I was just going to say that's like the.
If you watch this movie back in 1980, that would have been a hard prediction because movies didn't do that back then.
Yes.
Yeah, I had foreknowledge, obviously.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to say right off the get-go again, I was, again, very surprised by the 1980 graphics level. Like, I wasn't bothered by... There's a couple things I was bothered by, and we'll get to those, but in general, I was very happy with it. Like, nothing major, like, stood out, and I wasn't, like, staring at ugly graphics.
Should we go over how we feel about the movie?
Yes,
yeah. Okay.
for sure.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a long time since I watched it, and I really liked it. And I forgot, like, how much I liked it and how good of, like, a movie it is. Not just, like, how good of a Star Wars story it is. I thought it was a pretty good movie itself, so.
Yeah.
Like, story beats and that. Like, it didn't have that, like, there was no point in it, like, in the first Star Wars when, we all talked about it last time, where it was, like, there's, like, another 40 minutes of this movie. Like when they're on the Death Star.
Yeah.
It didn't happen in this movie.
This movie is longer though, I think.
It's 2 hours and it was 2 hours and 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
2 hours and 10 minutes, something like that.
But we don't have to look up now, I'm just saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
we'll look it up in editing.
Yeah, in editing. I'm gonna show that I'm wrong. But yeah. I also really like the movie. And I haven't seen it in a long time. I think this movie is way better than the first one in just about every aspect. It's probably one of the best sequels ever made, just because of how much it improves over the original. And yeah, the graphics and stuff didn't bother me because there was like no special edition like graphical things that I noticed at all. Like it was all straight from the movie, the original movie. There was no ugly CGI.
No Jabba the Hutt.
No Jabba the Hutt. There was some awesome stop motion we can talk about.
Yes. Yep.
Some janky stop motion.
Yeah, there's a few things I want to talk about.
Yeah. So
when was the first time you guys watched that movie? In like what order did you? Was that the second movie you watched?
Yeah.
No,
it was for me.
It was probably the 4th or 5th, maybe even 6th movie I watched. I feel like actually, yeah, it was probably the last one I watched out of the original 6.
Where would you guys rank it in terms of all of the Star Wars movies? In your opinion,
number one.
It's number one.
Yeah. Easily.
He probably likes Phantom Menace the most.
No.
You can't say Phantom Menace is a better movie technically than this one.
No. I don't know. There's like...
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I was squeezing my phone too hard.
Oh.
I don't know. Probably one. It would probably be top. But okay, yeah, we'll leave it at that. It's top for me.
A lot of
As in number one or like top tier, like top 3?
As in number one.
Okay.
Yeah. Putting nostalgia aside, I think it's pretty obviously objectively that it's the best made of the movies on a technical level, best constructed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all downhill from here.
It is all downhill from here. I was going to mention that it is literally all downhill from here. The next movie's pretty good, but it's not as good as this one. And then
what does our imaginary friend Ben think about this movie?
You mean Benny Boy? You mean
Benny Boy?
Benny Boy. He likes everything Star Wars, except if the internet decides he shouldn't like a certain movie, then he'll change his mind, but then change it back.
So, okay, I predict I'm going to be kind of like Ben. I think I'm going to like them all.
Well, no, you're going to see it, hate it, but then I like it, and then you're going to go back to hating it again.
Oh.
That's Ben. He can't make up his mind.
I'll sit in my underwear and watch Home Improvement.
Yeah. Benny Boy.
It's a good thing you guys didn't use his real name.
Benny Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Benny Boy.
Okay, before we actually get into the movie.
Yep.
I rewatched last week's podcast, and there was a few things that I wanted to mention. First of all, the Jawas. Kyle, you said you've heard them like in a bunch of different media.
Yeah, and then I made that embarrassing sound effect. Yeah.
And I looked it up. I was like, what kind of stuff is it relate to? And the minions from Despicable Me.
Oh, jeez.
Their voice is the exact same.
I've never seen any of those movies, but I know what they sound like.
I'm going to do my mid podcast adjustment now.
Mid? Okay.
So it will help me through it.
The other thing, our kind of opening skit was all I could think of again is logistics of how Star Wars works. You said don't focus on the physics of how it works. I can't stop thinking of the logistics of it. And it's just like all I could think of is like if I was that guy working on the starship, one of like a million guys, and it's like I'm the one responsible for I'm the only one that saw this escape pod leave. Like I have to make this decision. No, I don't get paid enough for this. That's
well, considering your boss kills you if you do make the wrong decision.
Yeah. So it's like
which happens a couple times in this movie.
Yeah. So that's all I wanted to bring up was well, I'll bring up the logistics again, but
right.
Yeah.
But yeah. So just so we don't repeat last time where we had an hour and 45-minute podcast, let's try to go a little bit more. We don't have to go by scene when we go over the movie. Let's go a general overview of the of what's going on in the movie.
I have the first thing I wanted to bring up, and you guys tell me if you have something before it. But the minute I saw Princess Leia look at Han Solo, I knew my theory about her and Luke was wrong.
Yeah.
The first movie was very clear to me. I was like, that seemed like that's what was going to happen. And then the second movie, just the first look she gave Han, I'm like, oh crap, I got it wrong.
Well, Leia and Luke make out. Well, that's just to get back at Han.
I was going to say, okay, we'll get. I don't know if we want to jump ahead too much.
I did want to say something about the crawl real quick.
I did too.
And it says that Luke is leading the rebels. Did I read that right?
I have it open here.
It said he was leading the rebels.
A group of freedom fighters led by Luke Skywalker have established as. Yeah.
How does he get that job? I mean, he got a medal, but how did he jump up the ranks that fast to the point where a 17-year-old is leading the rebels?
How did Princess Leia get there? Yeah, but that she has this position of command.
Well, she's royalty.
Okay.
She can fund the money.
On her planet that doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah. Well, they all use credits. That's interplanetary. So if her account is saved, you just be like, here, rebels, here, whatever. I want to be around, just make people see them doing stuff, but just here's money.
Okay.
Here's money.
Okay.
But I just found that weird that he was a good pilot, but is that leadership material?
Well, you know what though? Like, if you think back through,
Well, he destroyed the Death Star.
I was gonna say that's what I was gonna say. Like, he made the biggest step forward for the rebels, right? So like the biggest moment to date for them, probably.
But does that transition directly to you lead the whole thing?
Doesn't hockey?
But it's also
It's
you
not
could,
hockey.
you could tell just like from the point when they're on the base
The base?
the base on Hoth,
the hand solo.
the base on Hoth, he wasn't leading them.
It says in the crawl he was leading them.
But he wasn't. There
But
was
the crawl
there was another guy that was making all the choices.
I know, but that's my point. Why does the crawl say that? He wasn't even, like, if he was the leader, he'd be at the back of the base giving directions. He was out on the Tauntaun, scoping the area out.
He did say freedom fighters. He led the freedom fighters. Is that all of the rebels, or
I
just
assume
the
the
fighters?
I assume they were the same thing. It was
I
just like
assume
a.
they
Didn't want to be too repetitive.
I took it as the pilots.
I guess. I should have gone to Wikipedia and looked it up. Maybe they're different.
I had another issue with the opening crawl. So, Luke Skywalker have established a new secret base on the remote ice world of Hoth. I think you can see where I'm going with this. The evil Lord Darth Vader, obsessed with finding young Skywalker, has dispatched thousands of remote probes into the far reaches of space. I actually have two problems with this. First of all, how did they establish a secret base again? Like, after their last base,
Yeah.
they had to flee from it. Like, what kind of resources do these
How
people
long did
have?
construction take?
Yeah, they the ion cannon that was shooting out into space. How much did that take?
Yeah, you'd
to
think.
build?
Well, you think they have to get that off world, the ion cannon, so they have to bring it in, and the Empire probably has enough like people out there to be like, oh, they're delivering an ion cannon to an outpost world that no one goes to.
Yeah.
Should we probably follow that? No, it's fine. Same person who was like, yeah, the probe, yeah, it's fine. Same person.
I don't get paid enough for
He got
this.
demoted to the guy who checks like the interplanetary travel ways. Like, ion cannon's probably fine. Probably for mining or something. That's a good point.
He's probably the guy who set off the smoke detector in the friggin' Death Star multiple times, going on his smoke break.
Well, no, there'd be a fire in it, and they'd set off the smoke detectors. Be like, should we do something? No, it's fine. It's that dog meme of the dog in the kitchen. He's like, it's covered in flames. It's like, this is fine. He's that guy.
Yeah.
Why doesn't that guy have a name? Davin Felth has a name. That guy doesn't have a name.
So it's got to be something George Incompetent or something?
I don't know.
Okay. My second issue with the title crawl is they dispatched thousands of remote probes into the far reaches of space. Why didn't they do this in the first movie instead of having to kidnap Leia?
They didn't have time.
It was quite effective, though. They found Hoth, like...
But that's not tense and exciting for a movie.
Movie logic.
Movie logic.
Okay. That's all I had to bring up.
No, those are good points.
Yeah.
Those are good points.
But yeah, aside from that, we can go to the Hoth stuff. Hoth is one of the few places in the movie that was actually shot on location. They shot it in Norway.
Yeah.
I thought it looked really good. Yeah.
Yeah, everything else was a set that they built. Even Yoda's planet, which I'm like, wow.
When we get to that, I want to talk about it because, especially about the set.
Yeah, I want to talk about Yoda. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anything you want to say about the opening, the famous opening that every Star Wars movie has tried to like do again? The big.
What, Luke getting hit by a monster again?
No, the snow. Well, that. Well, no, I was thinking more the giant battle on a snow planet with the AT-AT, the big blocker things. Because we haven't gotten there yet, but Last Jedi ends with a big snow planet.
Don't spoil
Was it? Though? I thought it was like a salt flat.
1 second here.
But it looks like snow.
Okay.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Okay, no, I'm going to talk about the movie. Okay.
No spoilers.
So
We're done. I'm done. That's all I wanted to bring up.
I read
I'll
a
forget
thing
it anyway,
that
it's fine.
apparently George Lucas wanted a battle on a snow planet because he said doing a battle in space was kind of like cheating.
Yeah.
Because you could hide everything in the blackness of space, all the like practical effects stuff and all that. So he said he wanted to do something on a white backdrop, so it would be a lot more difficult to do and a lot more impressive to pull off.
Yeah. And also just to mention real quick, Lucas did not direct this movie. It was directed by Irving Kershner.
Yeah.
We did it again. But yeah, apparently George Lucas hated directing. It was like such a nightmare on the first movie that he essentially just wanted to be in a producer role. So he passed it off to like someone he knew. He said he wanted to pass it off to someone who would do a good job, but in the end knew that he was the boss. And what he said went.
Really?
Yeah. And he's like, you know what? This Irvin Kershner guy is a good director, but he knows who's in charge. He knows who wears the pants on this production.
Kind of like. I mean, no, I'm not going politics.
Okay, good.
Good. Cut.
That was a really good line, though.
You're going to bleep that out, though.
That was a really good line.
You're bleeping that out in post.
I'm a
So,
Oh my God.
That's great.
Is that being bleeped too?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. The
not gonna
whole
bleep
the whole
that.
snow monster thing, though. The Wampa.
Wampa.
Did you know that's what they were called?
I actually saw it when I looked up the. I didn't remember, but I did see that name somewhere. Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know if it was kind of purposely written in, but Mark Hamill had a car crash between the two movies, and it actually left a bunch of scars and that on his face. So
I didn't know that.
the cuts are kind of mirrored on his where his scars were in that to kind of
To cover it up, like
cover
why?
it up.
That's
yeah,
that's pretty good.
He thought he wasn't going to act ever again because his face was so disfigured at the time and that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
He went on to do pretty well, I guess.
Yeah. Another thing on Hoth, C-3PO mentions his joints freezing up again. I thought that was funny.
He's at hot oil bath to fix it. hot oil bath.
This oil bath is going
Hey, everyone, get in the hot oil bath. We need to fix our joints.
We need some.
You guys remember that scene, right?
Yes.
The-
Yes.
We need some like Kenny G played over.
Yeah, I would love to get copyright claimed. Cool.
Okay.
Let's see how many strikes we can get.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not important enough to be struck by YouTube.
Yeah.
Struck?
I don't know. Disney would probably come after us, I think. Okay. You want to talk about...
Well, so Princess Leia, the very first scene that, like when she kind of looked back at Han Solo, so I knew that was...
That longing glance.
So I saw that, and I was convinced that they're going to do something with that. That's fine. But then Luke gets back from the insides of a tauntaun or whatever, and he's laying in the hospital bed, and she kisses him. So I actually thought they were an item, or like they were together. So they weren't.
No.
Oh, okay. So because then I'm like the whole movie, that's like such a betrayal on Han's part. So that makes a lot more sense.
No,
Okay.
she does that just to like get back at Han, because Han's being a jerk. Han's being kind of creepy the entire movie, to be honest, a little bit.
Do you find it weird, though, they tried to play him off as the comedic relief? Like when he like slices open the tauntaun and he's there like, I thought these things smelled
'cause
bad on the outside.
It was like that in the first movie with the like when he's talking to the stormtroopers, like, "How are you?"
Yeah, I guess.
Like he was always kind of quippy. That's kind of his character.
Yeah.
So him being the comic relief doesn't bother me at all.
Okay.
But him being a huge creep kind of bothered me. The whole movie, when he's talking to Leia, he's like, "You want me? You know you do." Hell yeah. You
I
want
don't
this?
think he's that
You want
creepy.
it.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that does.
I think it's
Remember when she falls into him and she's like, "Let go," and he's like, "No." He doesn't let her go.
maybe that one. Okay. But like
cold outside.
at the
Yeah.
at the part on Hoth, I think it's just him trying to be honest and have a conversation
Yeah.
with her.
Well, it feels like it almost feels like the time in between their movie, the last movie and this one, they had like a fling or something that eventually turned into like real feelings. So, and this is like, it's like a part of the story we didn't see. We just have to assume, which honestly is good. It's a good way to get that across without having a lot of fluff in between. But
So I jumped a little farther, but so is there going to be a theme throughout Star Wars where Luke just gets knocked out at the first of every movie? Like,
I thought of that.
and he did get hit this time at least.
Yeah.
they did
does he
that
get
part
hit
right.
in Return of the Jedi?
I'm trying to think. No. Oh.
He gets.
I'm gonna say he
we
did.
can't say anymore.
I'm going to say
Yeah.
he does.
Um,
But thank you for not spoiling it.
Yeah.
But
No, I
so
don't think he does.
so far, like that seems, and it's like the hero just getting snuffed out so easily. Like he doesn't even put up a fight or anything. Like,
but it's that hit that makes him stronger.
Oh, it was so
becomes
weird.
stronger
It
in
was
the
so
end.
weird though. Like, I don't know. Were they going for a jump scare or something like that? Like, how did this creature sneak up on him so easily?
He blended in with the snow. He's white. And there's a storm, and he's wearing that big hat, like it's muffling his ears.
Okay.
It makes total sense, Chad.
Okay.
How dare you question this movie?
Okay.
He was distracted by that meteor thing that fell. So
yeah, the probe.
Yeah.
So
and then I had more of a medical thing I wanted to ask about. So how long can someone reasonably hang upside down? They do this a lot in movies and stuff, but like I feel like would you die?
I don't know.
If you hung upside down long
That's
enough?
how Batman sleeps in the Burton movie, the '89 Batman. He sleeps hanging upside down. Yeah, worked out for him. Like Keaton's still alive.
I don't think it's actually that. Like it's just a lot of pressure on.
It just
the
gives
heart.
you a headache, basically. Like
It's
really bad headache.
pressure on the heart. I think is most of the because it then has to pump the blood
All that
everywhere, and also yeah, you might end up getting a blood clot or something in your brain, or like in the blood vessels up here, because I don't want this to turn into a medical lecture.
Yeah, like what did we say about science? Get that crap out of here.
Yeah.
This is Star Wars we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could last probably a little while up, like hanging upside down for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I guess I just assume like if I was upside down for any more than like 2 minutes, I'd feel like I'd pass out. But I guess it'd probably just hurt and you'd be very disoriented. But yeah, so I can't wait to see how he's going to awkwardly get hit next movie. But what's going to surprise at least so first movie he didn't get hit, second movie he actually get hit, so that's good. Third movie he'll be telepathically hit.
Okay.
I mean, there is a telepathy. There's the Force, so it's in the realm of possibility.
So, which brings me to my first major criticism was the lightsaber sawing off the, what was the thing's called?
The tauntaun?
When he cut
Wampa?
the Wampa's arm off.
Oh yeah.
Like it didn't even show the cut. It was like just in the behind him. Like I understand, but like you go through all this effort in this movie to do these elaborate fight scenes and all that stuff, and then you can't even show the scene properly being done. It was just like this and behind a creature, and then all of a sudden his arm fell.
I would say that was a ratings thing, or maybe anything that was just how the effect worked, because that was a puppet, right?
Yeah.
For sure, but I guess I just figured they'd have a way. I don't mean you'd have to show the cut, but at least to show it from a better angle.
You can't show the cut because the lightsaber isn't real. You can't show it actually cutting the thing off, unless there was like a stunt prepared.
I feel like they could have showed a better angle.
Luke losing his arm.
Well, I'm pretty sure that was a fake hand.
You don't think you couldn't see his fist balled up in the sleeve?
Yeah. That's why I say it's pretty sure it's fake.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was the Wampa wasn't a puppet, it was like a guy in a suit. But the logistics of it might have been different where they couldn't show the actual cutting of it off.
That's not what I'm asking though. I'm saying like they could have showed it from a slightly different angle instead of being behind the monster and you just see a part of Luke and it's just like.
But you still got the point. You still got to cut the arm off.
Yeah, to me, like it just seems like it was a bad choice of angle. But.
Okay. I thought you were going to talk about the stop motion. I love the stop motion.
Yeah, no, that didn't bother me.
I love it. It's so janky and it actually doesn't look good at all. It looks terrible, but I love it just because I like stop motion.
Yeah,
it didn't bother me.
It's why I like Yoda. I just like Jim Henson puppets.
Well, he's Frank Oz.
Yeah, but it's still the same thing.
Yeah.
Frank Oz and Jim Henson worked together for years.
Yeah.
It's essentially the same thing.
Anything else about the battle?
I mean, we could talk about the AT-STs or AT-ATs. I never get it right.
AT.
How do you know that?
I'm a Star Wars expert now.
Yeah, okay. But, I mean, what is there to say? It's awesome. Like, there's nothing really good to critique. It's tense.
Oh, there is.
You think
There's
so?
something that really bothered me about it.
Okay.
And I know this is not really science. This is just a logistical thing that bothered me so much. So when they were fighting the AT, and they were, I'm going to say AT squared, and they were...
you could say at.
They were flying around, and then they were saying, "Oh, the armor's too strong to penetrate it. We have to do something else."
Oh, yeah, I know.
They circle the legs, and it falls, and then they shoot it once, and the thing blows up. What does it falling have to do with the armor? Like, I was just like, it was just like within like 2 minutes.
It exposed the undercarriage.
It shot him in the top, right where they were shooting.
Okay,
before.
I don't remember. I wasn't paying attention.
So
I get what you
like
mean,
literally,
though,
they shot him right just above like the head part, and they were shooting them all there, and it was like, oh, the armor's too thick, and then it just fell forward, and they shot him in the same spot, and just boom, blew up.
Didn't Luke?
It was a great
Didn't
scene.
Luke shoot something inside the?
He
bottom of
cut a
it?
hole and threw a grenade in the second.
Yeah,
one.
exactly. Oh, the
That's the
second
second
one.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have a problem with that?
No, I thought that was a great scene. Actually, I
Okay.
thought that was really cool. That's the hero I pictured Luke to be through all the movies so far, like, or through the 2 so far. I pictured him to be that, like the really talented, like whatever, not this like little awkward teenager sort of role. It was very different from what I pictured the movies to be. So as you can tell by my theories.
Mm-hmm.
So no, that part really bothered me, but it made up for it in the fact that Luke got up and threw a grenade. I thought that was a really cool scene. It reminded me of Legolas taking down one of those elephants. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
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 That was a great
Good
scene.
reference. It's nice to have a non-Harry Potter reference from you.
Well, I have one for that, but
Don't. That's my note from the last episode. We need to change up. You need to change up your
No,
references.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
just because those are the only 2 series that I've watched outside of, soon to be Star Wars.
You've seen other things. Come on.
I know, but it's the ones I relate to the most,
All right.
or I think of the most.
You don't want to mention Hulk taking down the big Chitauri thing in Avengers?
He doesn't remember that.
He's going through Marvel movies too, so you think he'd...
I've watched all the Marvel movies, but I can't think of.
Okay, never mind. Let's move on.
You can't think of a single thing from any of them, but you've seen all of them. Let's move this along. We don't want this to be another 2-hour podcast.
Okay.
Or do we?
Okay, what do we want?
I think we could probably jump to the swamps of Dagobah.
Yeah, well, yeah, because Luke on the planet sees the ghost of
The greatest actor.
the greatest actor who loves Star Wars more than anything. Tell him to go to Dagobah.
Hold on. How do we want to handle this? Because the movie jumps between 2 storylines.
Let's just talk about Luke and Yoda first, and then
Okay.
we'll jump
Okay.
to instead of trying to intermix them.
I don't have a lot to deal with on the Han Solo side personally.
We'll talk
That's
about it
more on
still,
the-
but,
oh yeah, for sure. But meaning
Yeah,
the
but
others.
like, yeah, the just to bring this up real quick, I said I didn't notice any CGI special edition changes. I only noticed 2 special edition changes in the entire movie.
Okay.
One is when they land and R2-D2 gets eaten by the swamp monster and gets spit out.
Mm-hmm.
In the original version, Luke goes up and says, "Well, you're lucky you don't taste very good." And then this one, he's like, "Are you okay?"
I thought he said, "Are you lucky you didn't?"
I don't think he does, but you can cut to the clip now if I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, it just sounded familiar when you said that, like as if that is what he said.
No, but in
I
the-
could have just
Yeah, I don't know why that got changed. Maybe because it made it seem like Luke didn't care about his friend who got eaten by a swamp monster and spit out. And I'll talk about the other one later. I just want to mention that quick.
Okay.
But yeah, Swamp Planet's fun.
You mentioned the set. Or
I
said
thought it was a real place, but apparently it was a set.
So it had to be built 3 feet off the ground because Frank Oz and there was 3 other puppeteers who controlled Yoda all sat under the set stage. And that's how they controlled Yoda in that.
Yeah.
I guess there's a thing I read that Irving Kershner used to give directions specifically to Yoda and not Frank Oz.
Yeah.
And Frank Oz would have to remind him, like, I'm down here.
Yeah. Well, in general about Irvin Kershner's direction in this movie, we complained in the last movie about how, like, when Adam asked us, like, what our favorite characters were, and we couldn't really say much because there weren't a lot of really good character moments or character relationships. Part of Irvin Kershner's what he did is that he always encouraged that. He encouraged improv a lot. So he's like, if you think a character would do this, then just say it. Like a lot of that stuff between the characters wasn't even necessarily in the script. A lot of the character defining stuff. So he's like, yeah, just improvise it and say all of it. And a lot of the most famous scenes in that movie are just them improvising. We'll get to those later. But like, yeah, I think that's what makes this movie so much better than the first one, is because there are all those character moments. Like you actually feel like you know these characters. Where in the first one, where they were just kind of like stock characters, like you just pulled them out of some other sci-fi B movie or something and stuck them in here. Yeah.
It's interesting. The other set piece on Dagobah was George Lucas's pool.
I knew about that. Yeah, that's where the swamp monster was.
Yeah. His unfinished pool. That's where and that was I think the only shot that George Lucas shot for this movie.
He was never on set. Like he was never on set, like almost ever when they were shooting the movie.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the few times he was actually on set because he didn't. He wanted to be hands off. He just wanted to come up with the decisions and let everyone else figure it out. But I think they got kicked off their original set. That's why they had to do that. Yeah, because apparently they had the set up. It was weird. They're using the same lot where they were shooting The Shining. They're using their sets. I don't know. I have to go more into this later, or I have to look it up. I don't know. But apparently there was a huge, horrific fire, and all the sets burnt down. So they had to like start from scratch. And it's like, oh man, we just lost a bunch of our budget. So they had to like pretty much start over. But for some reason they lost the ability to use the set, so that's why they had to shoot it in George Lucas's pool.
Really?
Yeah. The production of this movie was like a nightmare. Like going back to on the planet, like Mark Hamill was you can see it from the movie. He's isolated from almost the entire cast, the entire movie, other than Frank Oz as the puppet, and it really bothered him. So what Frank Oz would do to cheer him up is he would occasionally do Miss Piggy's voice.
I read something that he actually brought Miss Piggy to set.
Okay, I just heard he would do the voice, but yeah, just to cheer him up because he was having not a great time.
That's cool.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I just heard that he'd bring him to set for fun or whatever, just because. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just to cheer up Mark Hamill because he wasn't. He was a sad little guy.
Freaking Mark Hamill on Dagobah when he's sleeveless. He's got some freaking big arms for a little guy.
Yeah. He trained specifically for this movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot of training for this movie.
I was gonna say I saw that too, and I suspected that he probably did put in, because the first movie obviously would have been hit by this point, so it would have been like, I'm gonna put the extra effort in.
He learned sword fighting. He learned like kendo, like Japanese sword fighting.
Oh yeah.
And a bunch of other stuff. I forget. But yeah, the stuff on there specifically, Yoda's the best. Yeah. Rewatching this movie, I'm like, I really like Yoda.
It's so weird because I guess me being more prequel, or at least seeing prequels more and all that, like I've watched the prequels a lot more than I've watched the originals. And it's just like his character is different.
But I like that though, because the prequels, we can't go too far into it, but just in the original movies, he's fun. He's a puppet. He is a Muppet. He's straight up a Muppet. Like he has the personality of one. Yeah. But in the prequels, he's made a CGI, which you know how I feel about things being made a CGI.
Well, no, he was a puppet for episode 1,
and it was a terrible looking puppet.
Okay.
It was like they couldn't get the same puppet, so they made a new one that looks terrible. That's the only one time where I'm like, maybe CGI would have worked better in that movie. But in general, his personality is completely different when he's CGI. Yes. He's like very like serious and like there's no fun in that character. But there's no very few fun in the prequels.
It's like they took like the few serious moments in this movie where he's there like, you're not finished your training, like how he's very serious with Luke, and that's the character they pulled for the prequels.
Right, but he was a lot of other things. He was a very balanced, kind of goofy, like wise mentor type character.
Yeah.
So this is the part I'm probably going to upset Kyle a little bit.
He didn't like Yoda?
So I was really excited to see Yoda because in my mind, Yoda was this wise Gandalf character, like just could no matter what the situation was, could find a way to help or find the wisest path and all that stuff. And then when I first met Yoda, I was completely surprised by the puppet. I was like, okay, I just wasn't.
What else do you think they were going to do?
I just wasn't picturing. I wasn't thinking about it. And so when I saw Yoda, I'm like, oh, okay, well, geez, okay, he's a puppet, that's fine. But I didn't believe it was Yoda at first. I thought it was another one of his type because he wasn't acting anything like I was picturing Yoda.
Well, that's kind of the whole bait and switch because he is Yoda.
Yeah, well, I didn't know.
But like, how many people their first time watching
They wouldn't
it, like,
know.
in theaters?
Exactly.
They
So
wouldn't have known either.
I was a little taken aback, and then when I realized he must be Yoda, and then obviously became clear later, I actually didn't like it. I was looking so forward to Yoda was going to be that, like, my Gandalf character. Like I was looking forward to. Like,
Why don't you like about him?
I don't know. It just threw me off. Like, just he was not serious. And this is the part where you're probably not going to agree with me, but I was picturing and imagining a more serious Yoda. And then he came in like, all goofy.
That goes away a lot later on when you see who he is. He starts actually giving legitimate advice later.
Yeah, and so that's what I pictured. And so to be then surprised by this little goofy little,
but that's
I was like, what the?
But that's part of why you wouldn't think he is that person, because people who saw this movie in 1980 didn't know.
Well, they wouldn't have known. They wouldn't have had the idea of what Yoda was, though. Right? I had an idea in my mind what Yoda is. So that's why it was so surprising to me. Like, in my mind, Yoda was this, like I said, just wise, serious leader.
But that's your own perception.
But also,
that's
for sure. And I'm not criticizing the movie for that. I'm just saying, like, for me, I'm having a hard time.
I think
like,
a lot of that why you think he's like that is from the prequels, because you grew up during that era where he was in those prequels and it was advertised as that.
But
yeah.
So
also,
you think that, but it's not really how it was.
Him being goofy and all that at the start was also, he was teaching, or he was trying to make a lesson of it. Because Luke was there the whole time. He's there like, I gotta go find Yoda. And then finally he's there like, you're not patient enough. So I feel like maybe he was also a touch hamming it up.
Yeah. But that's endearing that he has those both sides of his character.
Yeah.
And to bring it back to you made a Gandalf comparison. Gandalf the Grey is awesome because he can be serious, but he can also be very warm and funny. Gandalf the White sucks because all he is serious.
I wouldn't say he sucks. I do like Gandalf the Grey more.
He is not as good as Gandalf the Grey, and that's essentially that's the thing. Yoda in the original movies is Gandalf the Grey, and then the prequels is Gandalf the White. He's all serious with none of the charm.
So yeah. So and again, this is less.
Michael Gambon in Goblet of Fire. Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? In the prequels, and in the original series, he's Book Dumbledore. I can make the comment.
Yeah.
Or even just Dumbledore from Philosopher's Stone.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just wanted in on that.
Yeah.
No, and again, this is not a criticism. I'm not criticizing. I guess I was just so surprised by it that I had a hard time getting past it. If I had seen this movie the first time in 1980 and not known anything about it, I would have liked that Yoda.
Yeah.
I can guarantee that. Like, I would have liked the whatever, but I just had in my mind that it was a serious Yoda, just from all my interaction with outside of Star Wars. And so it was just very surprising to me. I was like really taken aback, and I had a hard time like getting into the character for that. I'm hoping that as it goes.
Well, you're going to get used to, the next movie's in it, but then...
I'm sorry. I didn't think you guys would notice what I was doing.
What?
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
I don't remember what I was going to say now.
I don't
Thanks, Chad.
No, just the Yoda thing. Like, it's not a criticism. It's more just that's why I'm not appreciating Yoda at this point yet. Yeah. I was just giving my explanation for why I guess it more bothered me. And I guess that's just
Well, this is one of the most spoiled movies of all time too, so you probably have some preconceptions anyway. Yeah. But yeah.
The only scene I ever knew with any amount of confidence was the scene in this movie, which was coming later when Luke and Vader fight. Like, that was the only scene I was confident of all of Star Wars. That was the thing.
That whole scene is probably, the end of it is probably the most spoiled plot twist in any form of media ever, because everyone in the world knows it.
I think it's like been written about like as one of the most famous scenes ever in any.
It's interesting because when I watched it, we'll get into it, but when I watched it, I was still surprised by some of the stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because they're like throughout. Well.
Let's go back to, let's finish what we were talking about before we go into that. Okay. Anything else we want to say about Dagobah? Or
I just want to write down what I wrote about Yoda.
Oh.
Yoda, what the heck? Like, that's what I wrote down at the time.
When Luke leaves, Obi-Wan and Yoda have a conversation. and Obi-Wan says he's our only hope or whatever. And then Yoda was like, but there's another? Do you have any idea who he's talking about or what he's referencing?
I'm not even sure who he's referencing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I thought he said there's another way.
No, there is another. He meant like another like person.
Okay.
Which I think I have an idea, but I never remember who he's talking about. Even though I've seen the movies, I still
this is
don't
the
know.
part where you fell asleep, so I don't expect you to even remember.
No, I remember that line. I'm just
went
trying
back
to
and
think of who
watched it.
I thought it was, I guess. Yeah.
You just thought of it as a throwaway line? Or?
It was Greedo. He was talking about Greedo. And then they find out, he died. What do we do?
Okay. That's the last thing I wanted to bring up. Okay. About that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, I don't have much to say about the Han and Leia stuff. It's creepy.
Creepy.
They get stuck in an asteroid that has a giant worm in it.
Well, when they're escaping Hoth, all I could think of is the Empire just seems very incompetent. Like, because like they fly between two Star Destroyers and then the Star Destroyers hit each other. And it was just like, who's running this show?
Well, the guy who was probably flying the ship or whatever, he probably had never flown a ship before, but the guy who was flying the ship before got killed by Vader, and the other guy just kind of came up. He's like, what do you do? I'm like a tech engineer. Fly the ship. Like,
Are you going to strangle me when I fail?
no, of course not. Yeah. So I always imagine a scenario where it's like, it's just like the janitor left, where it's like, welcome, Admiral Janitor. Now get to your station. Like, there's no one else here to run the. It's just me and you. Oh.
There was never some guy who anticipated that he was going to be killed by Vader, so he didn't leave a backup of everything you're supposed to do in your job.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I had a similar thought. It was we're watching all these spaceships, and I keep thinking, is there like 5 people in these? Like these giant spaceships. You picture like 100,000 people in there.
Yeah.
But they only ever show like 5, or they don't show the troops leaving or whatever. So it's like, yeah.
That was one of the things I wanted to bring up about it, I guess.
That worm thing that they flew. So they were in the worms.
It was in an asteroid, but the worm also happened to be in the asteroid. Thanks to my friends at Wikipedia, and they're my friends. That worm is called an exogorth. But more interestingly, that specific one is called Sio.
Who named it?
I have no idea, but there's a name listed for it. Sio.
Must have been in the credits.
It's not in the credits.
It's very clearly a hand puppet, too, when it comes out of the
Yeah, it's
hole.
awesome.
But also, like, so did they fly out of the original hole they came in, or did they fly in like one hole, fly up its butt or something, and then fly out its mouth?
I don't know. The thing that bothers me more is that they got out of the ship and didn't immediately. I know I'm bringing science into this.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They got out of asteroid, which is in space.
There's an atmosphere in this worm's mouth.
Do they say that?
I don't know.
Well, are they in the mouth? They're in the mouth, right?
Yeah.
So okay, yeah. Well, yeah, maybe. But does that worm breathe oxygen? Like it's also in space.
Well, it probably just keeps its mouth closed all the time.
I'm doing
and
the
just
thing I
holds
said I
air.
shouldn't. I'm talking about the science, but it just I don't know, it stuck out.
I feel like with any science fiction movie, there's got to be like a million holes.
Well, this movie isn't
'cause-
really science fiction. It's fantasy in space.
Yeah.
It's magic. There's magic in this movie.
No, there wasn't. I felt like that whole scene, like them escaping through the asteroid belt, or like weaving through it and stuff, and then deciding to hide in there. And I did think incompetence too, like just the Empire.
And then
it seems like it would have been so simple.
And then them hiding on the back of like the flight deck of the Star Destroyer. Like, but there was other Star Destroyers around and nobody noticed it except for Boba Fett. Who? Like the bounty hunter.
Who'd you say was his name? Was?
Boba Fett?
Say that again.
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Oh my goodness.
I owe you an apology.
Hand. I was going to bring it up. I was waiting.
I was waiting too. I was going to bring it up right now, actually. Let's bring it up right now. When they land at Cloud City and Lando shows up, he says, "Hey, Han Solo." But for some reason, as soon as he walks into the movie, every single character starts calling him Han for no reason.
Yes. He wasn't the only one.
But why? Like, there was a whole other movie where they called him Han, and they call him Han through the first half, but as soon as Billy D. Williams shows up on set, it's like, he's Han now.
He's my favorite character ever.
But but he's wrong, though.
Don't say that about Billy D.
No, he's a cool guy, but...
Han didn't correct him, so...
Yeah.
Well, they make...
Maybe Han goes by 2.
Did you ever see Solo?
I had it on at one point, but I don't.
Because apparently there's a scene in that movie where they address the fact that he mispronounces the name.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Han tells him his name. He mispronounces Han, and Han apparently corrects him on it. But that's the whole, like, apparently that, I haven't seen the movie, but apparently there's a scene in that questions the fact that he's mispronouncing it. So it is, in fact, a mispronunciation. I don't know if it was just his character, whatever. But Leia says it, C-3PO says it. I don't know what was happening on set that day where everyone's like, let's just start calling him Han, even though no one calls him that. They had a whole other movie to go back and be like, we know his name. We know what his name is. Like, it didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense.
We need to do a scene right now of where the critical eye at the reviewers on the movie. Did he just say Han?
I noticed it as soon as it said.
Did he? Well, it'd be a lot of work to go back and change that. Like,
I was like, did he say it? I gotta rewind, and then he says it again before I have a chance to rewind.
And then when they're in the cell, Leia says it, and then when C-3PO is on Chewie's back and they're running away, oh, we need to save Han. It's like, why are you saying it? You're a robot. I didn't make any sense to me why everyone started mispronouncing it.
Quality control screwed up that day.
So, like, okay, Chad, I'm gonna give you an apology. I can see why you would say it wrong if you had seen that scene, but that scene they also admit they're mispronouncing it in later movies, so it's like it's still
that's a little bit of retconning though.
But he introduces himself as Han. Well, I guess you can't really use that argument because Obi-Wan introduced himself as Obi-Wan. Let's just say that no one knows how to pronounce anyone's name in Star Wars and just leave it at that.
Okay.
Are we just being picky on Star Wars, or does this happen in other series too?
Oh, well, any series that has well-known characters and well-known pronunciations, it probably happens.
It probably happens, but also I don't know of a lot of series that are originals as movies.
Right.
There's like a lot of movies that are like movie series that are adapted from other medias. So
like Lord of the Rings,
Harry Potter, Marvel. So
those are the first two you guys think of too?
I didn't. I said Lord of the Rings. I didn't say Harry Potter. But I had a specific in mind. I'm like, because with Lord of the Rings, it's like everyone said Hobbit specifically.
Smaug.
They always said Smaug.
Yeah.
But when the movies came out, it's Smaug now.
No, it was Smaug before the movies came
Everyone
out.
I ever talked to called it Smaug. The only ever time I ever heard it called Smaug was there was a Hobbit video game in the early 2000s. They called it Smaug, and that's the first time I ever heard it. But like even like in school and stuff,
it was Smaug. But we didn't go to the best school, so
that's true.
I never read.
But I've heard lots of people who called it Smaug before the movie came out, or like Gollum. People just say Golem, like the monster from Jewish folklore.
Yes,
which bothers me now, but people didn't know back then. Like that seems like a legit pronunciation. It's a little different with Star Wars, but because like we saw them like introduce themselves, like it's an auditory like medium where we could hear them, so it's a little different. So them mispronouncing everything doesn't make any sense.
I mean, if you also think about it, it's like how many dialects are there across the universe?
Well, sure, but Leia goes from saying Han to saying Han. Does her dialect change?
Yeah, when one character switches around, that's a little less understandable. But I brought that up in the first
You did.
Last podcast.
Yeah.
Which was, I mean, it's kind of understandable, right? Like, we probably all get mispronunciations for our own names, just even from time to time or by accident or just different, dialects, whatever. So, I want to just jump real quickly to Boba Fett.
They never say his name in the movie.
They don't.
I know.
But he's in the credits.
Did you even know who he was? Because
Yeah, I
it didn't
did.
say his name. Okay.
Yeah, well, I've seen the Book of Boba Fett, which looks like one of the greatest series I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
that's that brings me to my another special edition change. Speaking of Boba Fett, you know what it is.
Do I?
They dubbed over the actor with the actor from the prequels.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
He's totally like, I don't know if that guy is New Zealand or Australian. He definitely has an accent. But yeah, in the original it was just it was just a regular like American speaking actor. But in special editions they took that actor and have him dub over all the old Boba Fett stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think it's a little unnecessary, but they did it, and that's the only other change I noticed.
Well, I was gonna say in the credits they credit him as Boba Fett, not the bounty hunter. So was that a change that they made?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, Boba Fett showed up before this movie. He was in the Star Wars Holiday Special. That's his first appearances in the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Really?
They did an animated sketch during the thing where he shows up.
Huh.
His first canon appearance is in one of the worst things ever made.
Boba Fett, I didn't know he was a bounty hunter. I thought he was just a good guy, like just part of the rebel or whatever. One of the coolest looking characters. I really like his.
But that's the thing is with Boba Fett is like he is cool looking.
I love his ship. His ship
That's
is
as far
cool.
as it goes.
Cool. Yeah, that's as far as it goes. People like Boba Fett because he looks cool.
He looks really cool.
But in the movies, he does almost nothing.
Crap.
He's like Darth.
I was hoping he was going to be a bigger.
I was about to spoil something for you, but
Okay.
this happens in the other movies where they have a really cool looking character, but they have almost no personality and they don't do anything, and they die like a chump. I mean,
So when Luke gets the call, or not the call, but like the
Vision.
premonition, vision, whatever, to go to
Cloud City or whatever.
to go to Cloud City, to go save Han
and Leia.
and Leia. I like how he just like he believes Obi-Wan to go to Dagobah and like search out this character he doesn't know anything about. Like he believes the vision initially for all that, and then all of a sudden he disregards their wisdom and saying don't go like that. It's just
Yeah.
like it's like I trust you. I'm just gonna leave I'm gonna leave my friends, the rebels, everything behind. I'm gonna go look to this random planet. I don't know where it is. And then all of a sudden it's just like I'm just gonna abandon this vice completely and just go save.
He also never questions the fact that a ghost shows up in front of him. Like there's never any moment of dialogue where it's like, you see, I entered the Force when I died, and it's like he's a ghost and you just accept it. In the first movie he was like, man, I can't believe Ben's gone. I mean, my parents, they suck, but Ben's gone. And then he sees him again in ghost form. It's like, oh hey.
You think they would Ben would be doing this a lot more, and like continuing his teaching that way. Why wouldn't he continue?
I mean,
his teaching?
the Force ghost thing seems like one of the better powers of the light side anyway. You just get to live forever as a ghost. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
And also the training montage, way too short. Way too short.
It wasn't really a montage.
I know. That's what I mean. Like you expected him to have some training. You've basically saw him jumping around trees, which is the physical training, and then standing on his head trying to use the Force to move. Like that's all you saw him do.
Then he went to the dark side cave and then saw.
Yeah, what was that?
It was a cave strong with the power of the dark side.
Okay. Why does Yoda have that?
It's just on the planet, I guess. I don't
Okay.
know. But it's just, it's just a cave where you go in, you see your worst fears or your insecurities or something like that. And I've never really understood what it meant. He kills fake Darth Vader, and then it's him. I've never really is he afraid he'll turn into Darth Vader?
I think that's kind of what it is.
Is his worst enemy himself? Like
I think he's killing his dark side, like meaning we all have light and dark.
I feel like if it was that easy, just go in the dark side cave and kill the dark side version of you, that you would always be the light
not
side.
actually, but meaning like just demonstrate that he will choose the light over the dark character. I guess.
I guess
the way I took it. Anyway. Yeah, no, it was.
Yeah, it always seemed a little weird because if he was afraid, like if the message was he was afraid of turning into Darth Vader, I felt like that would have been built up a little bit more, like some kind of conversation. But I never really understood why it was in the movie. Like other than that's cool.
I wish is this a product of the period of making movies, or just the idea that they won't set up things very well? Like in more modern movies, they'll like show little hints of what's about to happen, foreshadowing all throughout. They don't seem to do that a lot. Is that these movies, or is that
it's these movies? Older movies did that. Oh, there's movies back then that did it way better than movies nowadays.
Because there's a lot of like you're reading into things. Like there's so many ways to interpret what's happening because there's not a lot of explanation.
There is a lot of really good like showing and not telling in this movie. I found, especially with character traits, because when Yoda's like when Luke goes in the cave, and Yoda's like, don't take your weapons with him. He just puts the weapons on anyway and just goes in the cave. I thought that was a really good like showing, not telling, like what that character's about. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna take them with me anyway. Like stuff like that. This movie has a lot of that. It's not just them telling everyone what's happening.
Yeah. Okay. Well, are we ready to jump?
Cloud City.
Cloud City. I mean, we already kind of talked about it. The only thing to talk about is that everyone starts calling him Han.
So on Cloud City, like, so there's the major themes are obviously the fight scene, which is the biggest scene in my opinion. And then the betrayal, and then like his old friend, what's his name?
Lando.
I knew it started with an L. You know, him kind of turning around and trying to fight back, whatever. I was really surprised. Like I was completely taken aback when Vader was there first, because didn't Han basically, or Han, jeez, I'm gonna be screwing this up all the time now.
Just say whatever you feel.
Okay. And doesn't he just say like I know a place nearby, and then they, like after the
No, I think it shows he's like scrolling through some kind of log, like he's on his computer, like looking like, oh, we can go here. I know I have a friend here.
Yeah. That's what happened.
So is it by chance that Vader happens to get there first?
No, it was Boba Fett. Followed them.
Oh, that makes much more sense.
I didn't even notice that.
I did notice Boba Fett following him after like he left.
He was like the only competent one that was like, maybe they're hanging on the back of the ship. Like
I did catch that.
Who
That's right.
thought of that? Like, why would he think of that?
So then he called Vader, basically.
Yes.
So Boba Fett would have made like the.
And then Vader showed up to make sure he made a cool entrance when they opened the door.
Yeah, and like pretty powerful, where he just like stops the bullets from Han's blaster.
Right.
I must have fell asleep at that.
Han immediately starts shooting at him, which is like.
That's like one of the most iconic scenes in this movie too. Is them open that door and he's there sitting at the dinner table.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Okay, sorry, I was thinking of a different scene. Yeah.
They sit down with them, don't they? Do they sit down with him at the table? I forget.
No, I don't think
they don't. Okay, because it would have been really awesome if they just ate some dinner.
No, because immediately like, he stands up, Han starts shooting at him, which is, I guess, a good characterization too. Like that you just mentioned.
Shoot first. Yeah.
Yeah, and pretty powerful. He just like stops. So, stops the bullets. So.
Okay. I just thought it would have been funny if they sat down and Darth Vader, like, he ordered out. Or no, he made it himself. And he's like, guys, I made some dinner.
I was actually, when I first saw them,
someone messed up the meal he force chokes.
I made a pork roast. I've been glazing it all day.
Does he just consume meals by just using the Force to eat them?
No, I think he just...
Like every time Han goes to eat his cheeseburger, he just takes it away or something like that. That would have been a funny scene.
Come on. Probably would have ruined the drama of the movie a bit, but
the torture scene was unexpected too.
They didn't even ask me any questions.
Like I was a little taken aback by that too.
Yeah.
It's like I wasn't expecting that for some reason.
Yeah, it's pretty hardcore. I don't know exactly what they did. They shoved his face into a bunch of sparking wires or something.
Yeah, again, they didn't show enough to even know what they were about to do, but it's just. I'm assuming just
Well, I don't think it's as bad as the torture device. We didn't talk about it in the first movie. Oh, the thing with the syringes on it for Leia.
Well, there's syringes on the torture device for Han.
There was? Okay, yeah. That I'm like, that's pretty messed up. What's in those syringes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we want to get to the fight scene?
I guess there's
anything else.
One thing before we get to the fight scene.
The carbonite scene happens before that, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Just the. What did you think of Darth Vader's personal chambers or whatever on the Star Destroyer, where he has like that like kind of like clam thing that like closes, like is his bedroom or what? It must be like some.
He's sitting like bow-legged in it, or
it must be some kind of like rejuvenation pod or whatever.
Don't they lower the helmet on him in that?
Yeah,
I think
yeah. What did you think of seeing like? It was like kind of a glimpse of the humanity of Darth Vader, kind of, right? Like, oh, there's actually, this is what he looks like under there. You only see the back of his head, but I mean,
I don't know. When I watched Epic Rap Battles, when it was Hitler versus Vader, when they showed, I want to look at you in my own eyes. Let me do it, get my and then he pulls off his mask, whatever. And his ugly face, whatever. So I was just kind of picturing that. So I kind of already had a sense of that he was going to be.
This movie's pretty spoiled. I don't know if you know about this.
Yeah. I guess I've never watched that.
Well, I think people, even outside of that, like,
we could do that after.
This movie's pretty spoiled. Like everything in this movie's spoiled. So even everything in this franchise is.
No, it's I didn't really think too much about that.
Okay.
Necessarily.
Yeah.
Other than, I guess I thought, like, first thing I thought was maybe he's, like, in the prequels, I'm assuming that's where it's going to be, like, his rise or whatever. I'm assuming, like, he's in, like, a bad firefight accident or something like that. Dogfight accident or something like that is my guess.
Well, we can't answer you, so.
I'm very glad to know that they slightly improved lightsaber fighting.
I mean,
I think more than slightly.
Yeah, more than slightly.
It's a really good fight, actually. It actually shows the full potential of what the lightsaber fights can be.
I wasn't too impressed. Are
you serious?
I know. But again,
it's like,
this is a 1980 film. I'm watching 42 years later.
Yeah.
So to me, I guess the first movie, like, we all agree that's like, was
you couldn't call it a sword fight, the first one.
This one is better.
It's definitely better.
This one looked like it was actually choreographed.
Yeah, there's actually more stuff than going on than just going like.
For sure, but you had just said that this shows the full potential of lightsaber fight. I hope they get better than that even. Like just think of, like, sword fighting is better than that. How's it that much different than sword fighting? So sword fighting scenes were.
It's not that bad of a scene.
It's not. No, I'm not saying it's that bad. I'm just saying it wasn't.
Because
I hope it's still.
You know, screw it. I'm talking about the prequels for a second here. I'm talking about them. You want a scene of really good sword fighting where they're doing flips and all this bullshit for no fucking reason?
I kind of do.
It's stupid. They don't even touch each other with the sword, but they're doing flips.
So one of the thing that makes this a good fight scene, though, is there's actually rhythm to it, where there's, like, you can see Luke gets the better of Vader at one point.
He slices him in the shoulder
and knocks him off the side of the.
Yeah.
Oh, the overall fight scene was good.
And then
I'm just saying, like, the actual sword side lightsaber fighting itself was still, like, pretty lackluster to me. But the overall fight scene was great. Like, you getting the better of Vader, and then you know. I guess I was a little surprised by that, to be honest. Like, I thought Vader walked through him like
well, it's kind of like the second half of the fight where Vader literally backs him off onto the. Yeah.
Because isn't Vader, like, it sounds like he's actually trying to convince him to not fight and to join him, right? Like,
yes.
That seems so. In other words, he's obviously holding back to some degree. He doesn't want to. If he wanted to kill him, he could just use the Force, choke him, or lightsaber and whatever. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, no, like I said, I did like the fight scene for sure, and it was leaps and bounds above the first movie for sure. But I'm hoping, I'm a sucker for those flips and like.
I hate the flips. I hate the flips so much.
I guess it's not so much. It can be flashy in that, but it needs to have a purpose of like it has to have its own story within it. Where it's like, yeah, you can see like these two, like the struggle between them, not just the flashiness.
Well, yeah, because I've said before, the prequels are all flash and there's no emotional substance. Where these original trilogy ones are all emotional because you can see the stakes just in the fight.
Yeah. Side note: you ever want to see one of the best sword fight scenes? Princess Bride. Yeah, Princess Bride. Inigo Montoya against what's his name again?
The guy who killed his father.
No,
Or did I?
no. The main guy. What's his name?
The Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you seen that movie, Adam?
At one point in time, might have, but I don't remember it.
Oh, it's a good. I love that movie.
I like it too.
Wesley.
Right.
Wesley. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember it being pretty good.
that's a good sword scene, sword fight
We
scene.
could do this movie then. I don't remember it, so
Okay.
there's gonna be a lot of those though.
Okay. We didn't touch on it last time, but there's like very clearly like they don't touch on it at all in either of the movies we've watched. Why are the lightsabers a different color? Like it's very.
There is a reason.
I'm gonna guess light and dark.
But yeah, it's very clearly so you can see the red lightsabers for the bad guy.
Blue is for good. Green is for Jedi Master.
We haven't seen a green lightsaber
Oops.
yet.
Spoiled.
Well, it's hard to keep track.
There is like actual like lore reasons to it, but like at this point in time,
No, there's no.
it's literally like
Well, don't even talk about the Dark Jedi, which I'm not.
No.
I'm not even going to say the
Yeah.
name because I've been.
they haven't mentioned it yet.
Well, no, because it didn't exist in this movie.
Okay.
It didn't come out until the prequels.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know
I'm
what
just trying to avoid things for
Yes,
this guy.
I know.
Mr. Spoiler Pants. There's spoilers on your pants.
Can you blame me? We're trying to watch the series for the first
We're trying to
time.
watch a movie that everyone knows everything about. Specifically, the Darth Vader is Luke's father.
So getting to that point,
That was a segue.
it was really bad when he cut off his hand. Like you could very clearly see, like it was just like his hand bunched up in the sleeve.
They didn't have time to do anything better.
He was hanging, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one big thing about that scene. So all along, I thought this scene was like maybe not a laboratory, or maybe in like a little launch shuttle or something like that. Not out in this open like giant space with the lights. I thought the lights were like computer board lights, not. So I was actually quite amazed by that. I was like, wow, that's actually way cooler than I thought it was.
That had to be a painted backdrop, though, did it?
For what scene?
For when they're
No, I'm your father. So
yeah.
Yeah, it was probably a matte painting.
I thought that was really cool though. Like the fact that they were outside and fighting and also Luke letting go and falling was like a fantastic scene.
Once again, showing not telling. I'd rather fall and potentially die than join the dark side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to mention real quick for that scene, there's a special edition version where when he drops, he starts screaming his head off.
Oh, really?
It's really, really funny. It's not in this movie. I was hoping it would be in this movie, and it's not. It's like, oh, it's so funny.
Can you imitate the scream?
So
Wait. I'm gonna let's fill in our own effects for the fall.
okay.
Bad decision.
So when Vader tells him he's his father, and Luke's there like screaming like no, all I could think of was that's like Mark Hamill's Joker voice.
Sort of, yeah.
Sort of, but yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Impossible.
I guess we did skip over the carbonite freezing.
Oh, yeah. That was because I didn't know if Harrison Ford was going to sign up for another movie.
Yeah.
So they froze him in carbonite, and if we never find him, we never find him.
But the other thing was when Leia says, I love you. And I know.
That's improv.
That's improv the day of, because originally it was supposed to be like, oh, don't worry, I'll be back.
Yeah.
And he changed it because he didn't know if he'd be back. Because the other two, Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill, had three movie deals, so they knew they'd be back.
And Harrison only had 2?
I don't know if he had 2 or if he was doing them individually.
The only reason he said he came back for Empire is because he wanted to improve his performance as Han Solo. That was the only reason. But yeah, they weren't sure about him, so it's like, we'll just freeze him. Whatever.
Well, I was quite surprised by just how that scene went together. So like I thought it was more gonna be like more time in between each line, like, you killed my father. No, I am your, or something like that. It was, instead it was just like a run along sentence between these lines. It was fine. I liked the scene, but
It's one of the most famous scenes in history.
yeah, but I'd never actually like sat down and watched the scene, oddly enough.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah, I remember, yeah, it was weird for me too watching the scene again, because like, you even if you don't know the twist going in this movie, based on like the language of the movie, you kind of get it anyway that he's his father. Just because he's like, no, we can turn him to our side.
Yeah.
And then in the last conversation, he's like, join me so we can overthrow the Emperor. We can rule together. So there's like a part of him.
That's right. I want to bring them up.
You saw him. You saw the guy from the Robot Chicken sketch you keep bringing up.
Yes. So what's his name?
Emperor Palpatine.
Palpatine. Okay.
Does he ever get named?
I don't think in this movie he's called Palpatine. I think he's just the Emperor.
So I honestly was surprised to find out that there was someone higher up than Vader.
Well, yeah, he's not.
Other than like, I got the hint in the first movie, but meaning like, I thought Darth Vader was the be all end all.
Darth Vader is kind of like he's like the second in command. He's like the right hand man to the Emperor. But
You know, there's someone that has to be named. That has to be the Emperor if there's an Empire.
yeah,
I think I assumed it was Darth Vader.
Yes.
no, because in the first movie he was like the lapdog to Tarkin.
For sure.
So why would the Emperor of the Empire be doing that? But yeah,
Well, that's what I mean. I got it in the first movie, but all like before we watched the movie.
he got a promotion between movies to Emperor. Is that how that works?
No, I thought it was like before I watched anything. I thought Vader was the highest up villain you could get, but it's interesting.
But him saying that like, Luke, if you join me, we can overthrow the Emperor. It can be ours. You get a good hint that Vader doesn't like the Emperor that much, or doesn't like being like the second fiddle.
Yeah.
But it also kind of implies he still kind of cares about Luke to the point it's like, I don't want to kill you. I want us to join and be a family. Cool family, dark side family. But like,
without spoiling, does Luke's mother come into play in any of the movies?
pretty cool.
So okay. And it's not Princess Leia.
I can't say anything. Why do you keep asking these questions that I can't say anything about? Guys, we're at the end of the movie and we're only an hour and 18 minutes in.
Was anyone surprised by how quickly they were to trust Lando after?
I was a little bit, because I was expecting more, and then when he came and went all nice, I'm like, that seems a little fishy, but...
I mean, you could see he had like instant regret about betraying them too.
Yeah.
But also, yeah.
He hit on Princess Leia pretty hard.
Everyone hit on Princess Leia.
She's the only woman in the whole entire universe.
Apparently. And she's rich.
She's not rich anymore.
She's rich still.
They have Bitcoin, so...
They have credits, which are like Bitcoins, but in space.
She's funding the friggin' empire, the friggin' rebellion. She has no money left.
She has a lot of money. She's a princess. She has all the money she can get.
Okay.
She's a princess for a place that doesn't exist anymore.
Their dollar sucks. Then.
Their dollar is really bad, yeah.
They crashed hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's not much else to say.
So I'm looking forward to the next movie. What's it called?
Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Yeah. But
So I'm assuming the Return of the Jedi, that would be either Obi-Wan comes back or Luke comes back stronger as an actual Jedi.
or it's just like the Return of the Jedi Order in general. That's not the answer, but it might be.
That's good.
Yeah. But no more thoughts on Empire? No wrap up thoughts? I'm just gonna repeat myself. It's really good sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Really good movie. And it never gets any better.
Do we want to do the same thing we did last time about favorite characters in this movie? Anything that?
Oh, I can do that more easily this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yoda.
I don't know if I could do it more easily.
I mean, if Bluto was in the movie, I'd pick Bluto, but he's not. So.
You have one?
I don't know. Again, I like Darth Vader was pretty cool in this movie. Like there are like you said, like when Darth Vader's at the dinner table. That's a really cool scene.
Yeah. He's
like,
a lot.
I want
He's
to
a
go
lot
back
better
and
in
watch that
this.
one again.
What?
He's a lot. Darth Vader's a lot better in this movie than the first one. I find.
Yeah.
He has a lot more personality.
No hands on the hips.
No hands on the hips. No what?
We gotta end the podcast that way, by the way.
Okay.
I would say if I had to pick a favorite character, it would toss up between Princess Leia and Han Solo.
You liked Han a lot more in this movie.
Yeah,
I did.
First
like Han
movie,
a lot
I was
more,
and the character design, Boba Fett for sure. That's an awesome costume.
Design. He has no character. His design is awesome, but he has no character.
I know. That's a timeless uniform. Like that could pop up in today. Well, it kind of does, but it could pop up in today's movies and be like just fit it right.
What if he was like
fantastic.
really fat in the costume though? And he was so fat the armor was kind of bulging. Because you're gonna love Book of Boba Fett.
I did see a clip today of a larger Boba Fett, and I'm like,
I haven't seen this. I don't know what we're talking about.
watched the trailer.
Book of Boba Fett. Just watch it. He's like, because Boba Fett in this movie, he's a skinny dude.
Yeah.
And like then in the Book of Boba Fett, he's like breaking out of his armor.
I haven't seen it.
But like, yeah, it's like what you said. That design is so good. He got a subpar Disney Plus show. It's what they've always wanted.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's been a crowd favorite for
looking cool and nothing else.
Yeah.
but he really does look really cool though.
He does look really cool.
Yeah, no, hands down, like one of the
Darth Maul looks really cool too, but I mean,
Is that Darth Vader's younger brother?
Yeah. Jeff Vader.
Luke's real father. It's Jeff Vader.
Wow, that really got you.
I can just see that in like the kids in school. It's like, Darth, where's your brother? Oh, Jeff, he's
Jeff Vader.
Or Jeff, where's your brother?
Oh, you're Darth's kid brother? Like, oh, I remember when I had him in my class. Yeah. You're going to be just the same.
So you got that breathing problem like your brother? Next time we get together, watching Return of the Jedi, episode 6.
I'm excited.
I didn't even mention. So the other night, when we went to town or whatever, and I was saying I haven't watched Empire yet, and I was planning to watch it. I actually went home, and instead of watching Empire, I watched Treasure Planet instead. And so I was going to open up this show with, I didn't watch the movie. I watched Treasure Planet instead, but.
I would have been more into talking about Treasure Planet. It's underrated. But
Treasure Planet is... Well, I just like pirates and that, so it's...
Right.
Cool. So. Pirates of the Caribbean is a series I want to do.
Is that the one we meant to mention?
I can't remember.
Because I've seen like 4 of them, so I've definitely seen
And
them.
the 5th one's not worth watching.
Well, I didn't even need someone to tell me that, to know that.
All right. Okay.
3, 2, 1, look.
This way? We went that way last time.
I'm just going to change it up.
Okay.
We're really doing this again? Isn't this going to get played out and tired eventually?
3, 2, 1. What?
What?